Parents of Reddit, what is the best weird flex but okay moment you've seen from your child? My son told me he doesn't need school because he already knows the name of 10 dinosaurs. Edit, for anyone who wants to know. My son's favorite dino is the Spinosaurus. My 7-year-old said I know everything until you ask me a question. Welp. Okay. A master of quantum knowledge I see. Schrodinger's knowledge. My son started 2nd grade this week. A couple of weeks ago the school sent out postcards with the date and time of the open house and his teacher's name. I asked him if he was excited to be in MRS so and so's class. And he said yes. But he's also worried. I asked what he was worried about and he said what if she falls in love with me and wants to marry me? I laughed and reassured him that he need not worry, since she's already married. When I was an after-school tutor for primary school kids, I excused a boy to the bathroom. He came back telling me he made the biggest poo in the world. He intentionally didn't flush so that I could come look at it. I told him that was great, but it was art time. He said his big poo was art. When my son was about 5 we went to visit relatives in the Washington, D.C. area. We were on the metro when my son eyed a very pretty professional young woman. I've got a lot of blocks. He told her, if you come to my room I'll show you. Then he made motorcycle noises for about 10 seconds. You're gonna have your hands full when he starts dating. He's already got an invisible motorcycle. Gonna be tough to ground him, yeah no. A friend of mine had 2 young boys. The older one, maybe 5, was sitting with him and pointed at a white hair and said, "What's this, Papa?" My friend said, "Oh, it just means I'm getting old," and his son looked at him dead serious. Looked at his brother and said, "Well, I guess it's just us and Mom soon." Huh. Kids are ducking ruthless. Was driving with my 3.5-year-old son a few months back and we saw a car pulled over to the side of the road. He asked why it was there and I asked him why he thought it was. He said, I told him it was a good answer and he responded. When I was 6 my absent father came back into my life briefly and I paraded him around all of my friends bragging saying, "This is my dad." I bet you thought I didn't have a dad. But I did. He was gone again within a month. LMAO. Capital F. My son, for at the time, was, I guess, trying to impress the 6-year-old neighbor girl. He leaned casually on his arm and said, "I have lots of accidents. Pee and poop accidents. I hope for his sake his pickup lines improve." When my son was 5, a waitress at Applebee's asked him how old he was. To which he exclaimed, "I'm 5 and I pooped today." I think everyone within 4 tables of us was very impressed. Edit, wow, this post really blew up. Awesome stories all. I've enjoyed reading them all. Thanks for the medals as well. RIP my inbox. My 4-year-old son kept peeing on the toilet seat because he wouldn't hold his pen 15. I told him he had to start holding it and his response was, "I can't hold it because it's too big." Edit, welp. After spending 7 years on Reddit my most popular comment is now about my 4-year-old's pen 15. Thank you. My 6-year-old son recently put his foot down letting me know it was not okay for me to tell him what he could wear or not because he is allowed to have his own fashion. Okay. Fine. Shorts, sandals and 1 black socketters. I contemplated having a button made that said "I dressed myself today" for my children to proudly wear. Them not realizing it was mostly so other adults would stop judging me for my kids' fashion choices. Edit, thanks for the silver. I'm glad my random comments spark such lively conversation. Katie. You have to eat 3 more green beans before you're excused. No. No more. 3 more. I'm gonna eat 4 more. Oh no, you got me good. My son was in the tub and asked exactly how old he was. Me. About 4 years. 10 months. And 4 days. After a few moments of deep thought, I heard him say quietly and reverently to himself, "And I haven't been bit by a single wild animal." Oh man. Still heals me. Edit. Thanks for the silver and gold. I will take him for ice cream today to celebrate his continued escape from squirrels? I dunno. We live in a city. My nephew is 4 and thinks he's cooler than everyone else because he can tuck in his shirt by himself. For a 4-year-old. That's impressive. I know some middle schoolers who can't do that. Not my kid, but a friend of mine was trying to teach his daughter to pick up her toys when she was younger. When she didn't do it one time, he told her he was going to throw away everything that was still on the floor. She picked them up and put them in the trash can for him. My toddler just threw her dinner on the floor. Started clapping. Yelled "Hoo war I" as loudly as her little lungs could possibly allow. Then looked right at me holding up her palm for a high five. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Kind strangers. I high-fived my daughter in celebration. When my son was potty training, I started letting him do the cleanup. Then I'd have to finish. After a bit of this, he figured he was pretty well good to go on his own. And he was very big boy about it. So for the next couple of weeks, he'd do his thing, which always included stripping naked, then come running out to wherever I was. Bend over with his cheeks spread. And shout "Hey, Mom." I wiped my butt all by myself. Look it. My 4-year-old Henry was carrying a tub of Legos down the stairs. It was slightly heavy but he insisted on carrying it himself. He was struggling so I was walking slowly with him in case he fell. He says, through little 4-year-old grunts, "This box is heavy. I have to use Henry powers." I was throwing my nieces in the pool and the 4-year-old grabbed a pool noodle and looked right at me to say, "Today, you're gonna get hurt." Not a parent, but I teach swimming lessons. This one 5-year-old first day of lessons was like, "I'm not very good at kicking." So I said, "That's okay. Nobody is perfect at everything." Dead serious, he just goes, "No. I'm perfect at everything." Had an Amber Alert hit my phone one night while my then 6-year-old was playing a game on it. She asks what that was and I explained it's a message that gets sent out if a kid gets kidnapped. She looks at it again and sees it's for a town over 2 hours from where we live. She then asks me why they sent to if it's so far away. I said because they want everyone to look and find the kid. Wouldn't you want everyone to look if you got kidnapped? They want to find the kid so they don't get killed. She leans over close to my ear and whispers I'm very difficult to heal. My son is a free runner in his spare time. So I often find him in weird places. He's 16 now. But even as a baby, I'd find him on top of the piano. At the top of the closet. etc. He could climb anywhere. Recently, I found him standing in the branches of a tree down the street. Staring off into space. I asked what he was doing. And he said, "I'm just hanging out." Okay. Man. Whatever works for you. Sassy niece after first day in school. I learned how to count to 11 today. I bet you can't. Weird flex but. Wait. I indeed cannot count to 11. I am a tutor. And a while back I had a 10-year-old student who said he had just learned the cool kid's way to write a 7. Good for you, little dude. My 3-year-old said to me the other day, "Mom, I feel, and I don't feel, like some profound genius." When my sister was younger she told her teacher that my dad was a clown. He actually owns an auto body shop but I guess she thought he was a pretty funny. Apparently the parent-teacher conference was hilarious. "Your daughter tells us you're a clown? What an interesting career." My 5-year-old talks to all of the animals. They're all her friends. She literally names every creature she sees in a day. See a moth? Oh. That's Stella. My moth friend. A bird? That's Jake. My bird friend. He's on his way to his grandma's. A rattlesnake? Don't hill it. Mom. That's Jenna. She's a nice protector snake. No. She won't go near it. she's smarter than that. Just really weird. She's also insists that she's a super kid. With batteries for everything. Doesn't wanna eat anymore. My food battery is full. Doesn't wanna go to bed. My sleep battery is full. And she shows you where these batteries are. One on her leg. Another on her neck. I'm starting to wonder if I was abducted. My 10-month-old son hates being changed. Recently he figured out that if he grabs his gonads in a death grip with one of his hands, it makes it impossible to get the diaper on him. I die a little inside every time he does this. My 5-year-old son woke up with his voice hoarse from a cold. Me. Oh. You've got a cold. Him. Solemnly, no. I think I'm a man now. I ran around telling everyone I was the most beautiful girl in the world. I even told my mom's friend that Shirley Temple was almost as cute as me. Used up all my confidence at 3. I remember being about 6-8 and bragging to multiple strangers about how my older, red-headed and white sister, for context I was a little brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown-skinned child, was my full-blooded sister but had a different last name because I thought it was a cool fun fact about my family. Turns out she was a half-sibling and nobody told me until I was older. Not a parent, but when I was little I had a child therapist and I told her very happily and even in a bragging tone that I was only 8 years old and I already had a training bra, and I remember her just looking at me for a while and going, okay. My daughter had a paper from school that she brought home. On the paper it said if I had $1 million I would, and all the kids had to put their answer. My daughter wrote that she would pop out her eye gonads. When I asked her about it later she explained how she wanted to pop out her eye gonads and replace them with chocolate eyeballs. Tonight my 3-year-old stopped midway up the stairs and turned slowly to me and said, "Mom. Earlier. While you were out. Capital I. Put. On. My. Hands. All. By. My. Self. Left double quotation mark. I have no idea why he emphasized every word. But then he smirked and turned and kept climbing the stairs. Big day. The kid is really going places. I am the child here. But when I was maybe 3 or 4, I took a dump that was green, which was quite exciting to me at the time. I went and told my mom. I just had a poop that was green. And she just told me next time make me a blue one. I'm 11 years older than my little brother, and when he was 4 he went around the entire neighborhood and wrote his name on everyone's garage doors in really big letters with a permanent marker. While babysitting my cousin, she got really close to me and smelled like rotten eggs. So I asked her if she farted and she immediately replied no. That's my brief. At least she's self-aware. My son, who was 4 or 5 at the time, walked into the kitchen and said to my wife, "Give me my usual. But put it in a real glass." She's like, "What? Your milk?" It was then we realized we had to rein in the iPad and curse of Monkey Island. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind internet stranger. My 8-year-old son's doctor was trying to make him comfortable during an EKG by telling him he had to leave his ear with the doctor. They went back and forth for a while and finally the doctor said he would trade him the ear for a lollipop. My son said he would not give up his ear but wanted the lollipop. The doctor said, "What? That is not a fair trade. What will you give me for the lollipop?" My son answered dead serious, "I get the lollipop and you get my respect." My 3.5-year-old outside the other day, he was stabbing the ground with a stick. I asked, "What you up to, buddy?" "I'm digging holes for the ants to climb into." "That's so sweet of me." Mom. He's a nut.